ดีครับผมดูดีครับ
ผมเดียวครับ
ครับยินดีต้อนรับเข้าสู่กีตาร์ไทยทีวีนะครับใน Interview Channel นะครับ
ครับผม
โดยวันนี้เราจะพาเพื่อนๆไปพบกับกีตาร์แจ๊สท่านหนึ่งซึ่งเล่นฟิงเกอร์สไตล์ได้ดีนะครับแล้วก็เป็นนักแต่งเพลงเป็นโปรดิวเซอร์ด้วยนะครับคือคุณ
มาร์ตินเทเลอร์นั่นเองครับ
ครับก็คุณมาร์ตินเทเลอร์ก็ไม่ได้มาคนเดียวนะครับมาพร้อมกับนักร้องสาวชาวสกอตแลนด์นะครับ
อลิสันเบิร์น
ครับซึ่งทั้งสองท่านนี้ก็มาเปิดคอนเสิร์ตเมื่อวันที่28กุมภาพันธ์ที่ผ่านมา
ครับ
แล้วก็ต้องขอบพระคุณบริษัท AMI Event นะครับซึ่งเป็นผู้จัดคอนเสิร์ต
ครับผม
แล้วก็ให้เวลาเราได้เข้าสัมภาษณ์มาร์ตินเทเลอร์นะครับ
และบทสัมภาษณ์ครั้งนี้ครับถือว่าเป็นบทสัมภาษณ์ที่พิเศษมากเราจะได้พบกับมุมมองไอเดียทางด้านการเล่นดนตรีแจ๊สอย่างเต็มๆจนกระทั่งเราต้องแบ่งเทปเป็น2 ตอนด้วยกัน
ใช่ครับซึ่งเป็นเวลาที่ยาวนาน1 ชั่วโมงเต็มๆนะครับ
ผม
แล้วก็คุณมาร์ตินเทเลอร์เนี่ยเขาให้สัมภาษณ์เหมือนเชิงเป็นเลคเชอร์สอนหนังสือด้วยนะครับ
ใช่ครับ
ผมว่าไม่ควรพลาดนะครับงั้นเราไปชมตอนแรกกันเลยแล้วกันนะครับติดตามชมเลยครับ
สวัสดีครับสวัสดีสมาชิกกีตาร์ไทยนะครับวันนี้กีตาร์ไทยเรามีโอกาสอันพิเศษนะครับที่ได้สัมภาษณ์พิเศษอีกเช่นกันนะครับกับมือกีตาร์เรียกว่าเป็นศิลปินระดับโลกเลยนะครับจากสกอตแลนด์นะครับเขาจะเดินทางมาเปิดการแสดงของเรานะครับในวันที่28นะครับถ้าจะพูดถึงประวัติของมือกีตาร์หรือศิลปินท่านนี้นะครับก็คงจะต้องใช้เวลายาวนานมากผมจะสรุปสั้นๆนิดเดียวก็คือว่าศิลปินท่านนี้ได้รับรางวัลเกี่ยวกับการเล่นกีตาร์แจ๊สมาอย่างมากมายนะครับ11 รางวัล British Jazz Award Best Guitarist นะครับคือมือกีตาร์ที่ดีที่สุดทางสายแจ๊สถึง11 ครั้งนะครับศิลปินท่านนี้ยังได้รับเครื่องราชชั้น MBE นะครับโดยQueen Elizabeth นะครับแล้วก็ยังได้ปริญญาดุษฎีกิตติมศักดิ์นะครับจากมหาลัยในสหราชอาณาจักรนะครับซึ่งก็ถือว่าเป็นเรียกว่าเป็นด็อกเตอร์นะครับทางด้านการเล่นกีตาร์ทางด้านดนตรีเลยนะครับนี้เพื่อเป็นการไม่เสียเวลานะครับเรามาพบกับศิลปินท่านนี้เลยดีกว่าครับคุณมาร์ตินเทเลอร์ครับ Hello Martin Taylor.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. Nice to see you.
It's good to be back in Bangkok again.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's very nice to see you. And how do you feel about coming back and playing Thailand again?
I'm very, very happy to be back. I always enjoy playing here and also coming to this city because it's such a fantastic.
Because the last time is about 10 years ago.
Yeah,
probably
not as long ago as that. About 5 years.
5 years.
It was 5 years ago. I played here last. I came here last time. And I played with, I had my son James playing drums and Terry Gregory on bass.
As a band.
Played, so that was a different thing again. And this time I'm really pleased to be here with a great jazz singer from Scotland, Alison Burns.
She's a rising star.
Very much a rising
vocalist.
Star. Yeah. So we've made 2 records together. The first one we made was called Kissing Bug, and we had a band. I produced it and I played on the album. And after that, we made that record, and then we decided, because we would sit down together, just the 2 of us sometimes, and we thought, it'd be really nice for us to make an album to capture that atmosphere of when we're playing together. One of the singers that Alison admires a lot is Ella Fitzgerald. And of course, Joe Pass and Ella Fitzgerald made many records together and worked together. So when we made the album, it was very much thinking of not to be like them, but to capture that atmosphere and feeling that they had. Of it being a very intimate kind of recording. The way it was recorded, in fact, should draw the listener in to make it sound like we're all in the room together in a small room, very intimate.
Like playing in a living room together.
Yeah. So it doesn't have that sound that we're playing in a big concert hall, that we're in your front room all together.
That's so very nice.
It's very, very close up. Alison and Martin close up.
And there's a question about the singing kind of thing. Most singers always have problems singing with a chord which has a tension note in it. Do you have any solution to this problem?
Not really, because it's not my problem. It's
the singer problem. So this question I should ask Alison.
You should ask Alison. It's okay if I play that. What it is, it's for the singer. First of all, the singer to have a very firm grounding of the practicalities of singing, of having a good command of their voice, understanding harmony, and also having very good pitch, having very good intonation, so that if I play a note that is within the chord, it shouldn't put the singer off, because the singer should have the confidence to know, Alison has the confidence to know that she, even though I might put a note in there, she's right in what she sings, and she will just still hit that, whatever note she's hitting, perfectly in the middle, so that it's in tune. So a lot of that's to do with the singer having a lot of confidence. But of course, I try not to do something that would put a singer off. One of the important things working with a singer, of course, is if I do an introduction, is that I mustn't do something that will put the singer off, so the singer can't get the pitch. You know,
I see.
If I do the part of the job of the introduction is not only to set up the mood and feeling of the song, but it's also for the singer to prepare himself or herself to come in on the right note and the right pitch. And if I play something that's too abstract, a lot of singers won't necessarily hear that.
You don't do something out, right?
You can,
in the introduction.
can do, but you have to know each other very well well to do it. I'm sure that I can do that with Alison, because she has strong enough, not necessarily perfect pitch, but relative pitch. So she knows where the note is already. You know, but you've got to be careful that you don't put the singer off on the wrong foot. You know?
And that's come from like experience. Right.
Yes.
The singer experience.
Yeah. I mean, when I worked with Stefan Grappelli, that was really the last time that I did anything where I accompanied like this, and it was very, very similar. Except, as I say, with the singer, we have that added dynamic of the lyrics, the words, the story being told. So it's another. It's another thing again, and it's very good for the audience as well, because for people that, you know, I'm very aware very often guitar players might come to my concerts, and they'll come along and they might bring their partner or some friends with them, and they'll drag them along. Come and hear this guitar player. So when I'm playing, I don't always think, well, everybody in this room knows what I'm about and what I'm doing. I don't take that for granted, because I know that some people there, they maybe don't know anything about me. They don't know this kind of music, what I'm trying to do. So I try to draw the audience in, and it's great with Alison, because we can do that without Alison being a singer. She can engage the audience with the lyrics, with the storytelling, with her stage presence and charisma.
Yeah, and her voice.
And her voice, of course.
Yeah, beautiful voice.
Yeah.
She has a beautiful voice.
Everybody can relate to that. I think it's because not everybody can play a musical instrument or has tried to play a musical instrument, but everybody has tried to sing. Whether it's, you know, while they're having a shower, or maybe they go to the bar and they have karaoke and they try and sing along, or maybe when they're just around the house doing things, they start humming a song, or even making something up. A lot of people don't realise that they have the ability to create music and compose music. They'll say, "Oh no, I'm not. You know, I couldn't do anything like that. I know I'm not a musician." And then you'll hear them. They'll sing. They're making a song up. It may not sound very good, but that's only because they don't have the background and the knowledge of music. If they had if they wanted to do that, they learn about music and learn about harmony and melody. Everyone has the ability
to do it,
to create music.
To create music.
Yeah, everybody does, to varying degrees. It just has to be harnessed. The difference between somebody who isn't a musician starting to make up a song and sing a song while they're driving along in the car, and me doing the same thing, is that I have the knowledge of music, so I can mould that into a form.
When you mentioned about Stefan Grappelli, you had like, I guess, like 11 years playing, recording, and being on tour with Stefan Grappelli. Yeah. Could you share that experience with us?
Well, that was a marvelous experience because actually I first met Stefan, I think I was about 18 when I met him, because I knew the guys that worked with him, and obviously I knew who Stefan was because I grew up listening to the Hot Club of France, Django, and that was the reason I started to play the guitar, was hearing that music. And around about that time, in the early 70s, Stefan started to have a resurgence in popularity. So we started to see him on TV. Oh God, that's that guy that played violin with
Django Reinhardt.
Wow, I didn't know whatever happened to him. And then I was fortunate enough to meet him when I was about 18, maybe 19, I think. And then a few years later, when I was 23, he needed a guitar player to play some concerts with him in France and Belgium. By this time, I'd already made a couple of albums myself, and I was becoming known mostly in London, around the London area and around England. So I was starting to become known about that. And Stefan was always very, very keen to work with young musicians. At this time, he would have been about 70, just about 71, I think he was, when I first worked with him. So he was very. He was great because in himself, in his heart, he was very young, and he liked being around young people because it was very funny. Even when he was in his 80s, he would sometimes complain to me about somebody, and he said, "Oh, you know that old man," and he was talking about someone that was about 65. But because I guess it's all in your mind, really. In his mind, he was a young man. So he liked being around young people, young musicians. And even though I say it myself, I'm not saying this myself, I'm saying this because this is what Stefan used to say to me, was that when I worked with him, I brought new things to his music. It was like a little, it was like a new breeze of fresh air coming in. So I was
new way of thinking, like new.
Yeah, or I would just suggest things. I would suggest things for arrangements. So rather than just play the tune, I'd say, Stefan, why don't we do this little introduction where I play this, then you come in doing that. Oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that, and he'd play it.
Give him more alternatives.
But then he would come up with an idea. Yeah, but what if I did this? And I think, and then and we would sit and make up these arrangements together. So it was kind of a two-way street, really, because here I was, 23 years of age, and working with this absolute legend of the jazz world. And I was thrilled about that. But at the same time, he was thrilled that he was working with me and other musicians like Marc Fossé, great guitar player from France, left-handed guitar player. There was an American bass player as well at that time, Brian Torff, who we worked with. And we were actually giving him a little bit of a kick. He was enjoying that. That was giving him a new life. So very often when he was interviewed by journalists, he could sometimes be a little dismissive when they would, because immediately they wanted to ask, tell me about Django. And then he used to get a little bit annoyed, and it was misinterpreted that there was some kind of friction between Stefan and Django, which there was. There was a kind of friction and a rivalry between them when they were together. But he certainly, he only ever talked about Django as a musician and as a guitarist in the highest terms possible. He was, he used to talk about Django. Django really was a genius. He was incredible. But as two people, they were very different. They were very different personalities, but very good for each other. Because I don't think they were such opposites that I think that they managed to create something. They obviously had some great connection, and in a way, kind of a love of each other, a love-hate of each other, that they managed to. It was a spark. It was like a marriage. Sometimes you have people married who are very, very different, but it really works out well because
it's like a jigsaw or something?
Yeah, exactly. There's one part of one person's character is missing, but the other person has
it. Yeah.
So you know, it was pretty much like that. But I remember once being on a plane with him in America, and my dad, who was a big fan of his,
Yes.
my dad said to me, does Stefan ever give you any advice about, talk about Django, or did he give you any advice about anything? I said, well, not really. He said, what do you talk about when you're traveling? I said, well, this and that. We talk about, I wonder what the hotel will be like. You know, the plane was an hour late. And, just practical things all the time. But sometimes he would tell stories about when he was young, when he was he played violin and alto saxophone in a group called Gregor and the Gregorians. Way back. They went to Argentina, and he used to very often tell funny stories about that. But my dad said, you really should ask him some advice, you see. So I thought one day, I said, we were on a plane, and I said, Stefan, is there any advice you can give me? And he said, yes. And he took his glasses off like a learned kind of sage, master talking to his student. He said, yes. Never tell your wife where you keep your money.
Is that...
That was it. That was the only advice I ever got from him. And apart from that, occasionally he would say things like, when we played a tune, he'd say, oh, that was really good, but I think it would be better if you ended up on a big chord up here, because it'll have more effect. And he says, then we'll get more applause from the audience. He used to like to milk the audience a little bit. But that was one of the things that I think the biggest thing that I learned from him was that he was the first jazz musician that I worked with that was very conscious of the audience. Everybody else I'd worked with before, they were kind of walk on stage, play, there you go, that's what we do. If you like it, fine. If you don't like it, well, don't come back. You know, it was very much that kind of jazz thing. You know, we're jazz musicians, and you know, we're just going to play, and here it is. Whereas Stefan used to come on stage and he would engage the audience. He would just engage them. And I still look back, even though it was an 11-year period of my life, I look back at it as a very, very, very important part of my life and my development as a musician and as a person. So the man lives on. He certainly lives on. He was an extraordinary man, and I was very, very fortunate to be part of his life for that period of time.
Okay. And as we all know that you're like a self-taught guitarist, right? Yes,
I am. Yeah. There's nothing unusual about that, really, because when I started to play the guitar in the 60s, if you wanted to study guitar, you had to go to college. You had to study classical guitar. That was the only music that was being taught on guitar. And as all guitar players know, the guitar really is more than one instrument, and classical guitar is an instrument in itself. It's a technique completely on its own, and it's a discipline that's quite separate from maybe some other things. And so it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I was engrossed with jazz music because my dad was a jazz musician. So I wanted to play jazz, and I was fascinated with jazz, being the instrument, being able to play the guitar as a complete instrument. But I only actually heard, in jazz, I only heard piano players playing like that. I didn't hear guitar players playing as complete instruments at that time, in the 60s, 70s. So I listened to piano players, and I used to listen to stride players, so I got... you know, the Fats Waller and Art Tatum used to play that kind of left-hand stride. So and then I heard Chet Atkins and Earl Travis, and of course, they played very much in that kind of style. But they played a kind of music that, although I liked, I didn't want to play. I wanted to play jazz, and I wanted to improvise like this. So I didn't have anybody really to teach me the guitar, but there was lots of other people around that played guitars. My dad could play guitar a little, and he had some friends that played guitar very well, and some of my friends were playing guitars, but they were playing things like very big in England at the time were the Shadows, Hank Marvin.
The Shadows.
So a lot of my friends were very much into playing that kind of music. And of course, I grew up in England at the time of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Jimi Hendrix. I went to see Jimi Hendrix with my brother in London at the Royal Albert Hall and Hyde Park concert. And I was still at school. I was still very young, but my brother was older than me, and he took me along. So it was a very interesting time for music. And it was an interesting place to be during that time because there was so much going on. And I think one of the things that was very good about that, you say about not having a teacher and having to teach yourself, was everyone had to kind of find their own way of learning to play. So you'd put records on and you'd hear a guitar player playing and you'd try and figure out how it was played, and you would play away and learn a similar thing that the guitar player was playing. And when you got together with your friends, they'd all done the same and they played slightly different. So you all played a little bit different. So it bred a kind of individuality because it was how we had to do everything by our ears because there wasn't teaching videos. I mean, we had TV, but not very much. There was a couple of variety music shows on at the weekend, but you couldn't put a DVD on, or even a video. I mean, there weren't DVDs, videos. There wasn't.
You have TV, vinyl.
Yeah, there wasn't even cassette players, of course, at that time. So it was a complete different. The only thing was vinyl, and you would put that on. And we would do a thing as well. If you wanted to learn something, you put a record on, an LP, and then you put a single on, and you put it on LP time, and it would slow it down, exactly one octave. So you could play it very slowly along with that. And it sounded like you were playing along to an elephant. Kind of rumble would be going on, but it meant you could work it out. It was very primitive. But what it did, what was very good was it trained your ear. We all became very good with our ears.
ครับเป็นยังไงบ้างครับกับตอนแรก
ตอนแรกยังขนาดนี้นะครับเต็มอิ่มมากๆครับและตอน2จะขนาดไหนครับ
ครับก็ตอน2มีการเล่นโชว์ให้ดูด้วยนะครับก็งั้นวันนี้เราลากันไปแต่เพียงเท่านี้นะครับแล้วคอยติดตามตอน2ต่อไปนะครับ
ครับผม
ครับสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ